YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with our updated NFL power rankings heading into week 14. We update these every Tuesday morning, so we'll see the changes here after week 13. Excited to break them down. We have full NFL coverage here. We have a recent mock draft that went up. We got you covered. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. You guys know the drill there. Links pinned in the comments for anything you're looking for. Twitter, our sponsors, GLD Shop, Liquid IV, code GOAT on both those sites. Again, links pinned in the comments. Check them out there. So the Week 14 power rankings. Texans coming in at 32. Shouldn't really be much of a surprise there. Don't have to break it down too much. The Broncos are at 31. They had it against the Ravens, but couldn't do enough offensively. Couldn't make the stop in the end to stop in Huntley there, which that was their first touchdown of the game, which got them that 1-point win. Tough one for the Broncos. Bears at 30. Another one where it looked like they had for a little bit, this time against the Packers. Couldn't close it out. The Packers find a way. Rams, another one, looked like they had that game against the Seahawks, surprisingly, but couldn't make that stop at the end. Couldn't close it out, so they're staying put at 29 as well. So not too many changes there. Colts down one spot. They were putting up a little bit of fight with the Cowboys for a little bit. And then, a bunch of turnovers happened. 5 turnovers and it was like a 33-0 run for the Dallas Cowboys. Insane. So the Colts down one spot to number 28. It's been a rough season. Saints down one. That was last night, actually. They choked away that game against the Buccaneers. They were up 16-3 with 3 minutes left, and they lost 17-16. So, yeah, it's just a disastrous season for the Saints there. That was a big game, too, to stay alive in the NFC South. So that was, choking a game like that, almost deserving of moving down more, but they're just around a bunch of teams that just continue to lose and continue to disappoint there. They're at 27. The Panthers didn't even play, and they moved up 2 spots, so somewhat rare in these power rankings, but the teams that are around them in these rankings just either continue to lose or find ways to lose, so those teams got to move down, while the Panthers, even though they're off a bye, they're finding some ways to win some games recently and stay alive in the NFC South, so they were deserving of moving ahead of the Colts and the Saints. More so, we'll put it this way, Saints and the Colts were deserving of moving down below a team like the Panthers. Falcons, second half of the season hasn't been great. Another close loss against Steelers. Luckily, they're around some teams that are struggling, so there's really not much room to move the Falcons here in the power rankings. Cardinals didn't play. They moved down one spot, mainly because a team that did play deserved to move up ahead of them. Jags got their ass beat to the Lions. It was a pretty bad outing. They were favored in that game. You expected to be a little more competitive, and they were not. So you see the Lions are just a much better team than the Jaguars, and should that really be the case? So the Jaguars go down 5 spots. Some other teams winning around this range, so they're moving up, pushing the Jaguars down. Packers beat the Bears. Good come from behind win. They're up 2 spots, 22. Still been a pretty disappointing season for them. The Chargers, I moved down 8 spots. I've kind of determined officially, the Chargers are not a good football team. I mean, you look at what's been going on. They've been losing games. The one game they won recently, it took the last drive, the last seconds of the game in a 2-point conversion. It basically took Justin Herbert being that hero that he is, but they just rely on him to take over. But if you watch Chargers every week, it's kind of starting to build up here. They're not a very good football team. They should be I know they're beat up. A lot of teams are beat up, but they should be a much better football team. I mean, again, just relying on Herbert. They don't have, Eckler's a good running back, a great running back, but they don't really have that much of a run game. It's like teams are like, we got to worry about the trenches. We got to worry about the run game here in the trenches. They don't have the receivers to take over really anymore. And Mike Williams is out, but Keenan Allen still can make big plays. He's not what he's used to be. Offensive line's not helping. Defense, the run defense is so bad, and the pass defense is better, but that's not saying much. They had things going their way in that Raiders game. They were up 10-0, maybe taking away the run from the Raiders. That's how you win. They still let them back in, still allow them to run, still let them kind of beat them up there. So I thought by more than the score show. I mean, they had a pick 6 early in the game, so that's just kind of the way the Chargers, things have been going recently. So not thrilled with them. They're down 8 spots to 21. Patriots starting to play some good teams, and they're starting to lose, so that's really not ideal. Play calling isn't great. Execution on offense isn't great. Defense, it's not as good as the statistics will show. I think it's because they were just playing weaker offenses for most of the season, so things starting to kind of unfold here for the Patriots. So it has not looked great recently. So they put up a fight with the Vikings 2 weeks ago, but it, kind of shows that the defense, maybe it's not great, which some people thought. And then a tough one against the Bills this last week. So down 5 spots, number 20. Steelers keep on winning for the most part here. They're up 2 spots. Not the prettiest game, but a pretty good defensive outing there against the Falcons, and they get the job done. So they're up 2 spots to number 19. Raiders are on a 3-game winning streak, and they're putting up some good points there. They started a little slow in this one. Things weren't going their way, but they bounced back, figured out a way, and they're winning multiple different ways. Mainly it's the run game, but they're winning with multiple different ways right now. So they're starting to look like the Raiders we thought they could be. But a 3-game winning streak will help you in these rankings up 4 spots, number 18. Bucks gonna stay put at 17. A wild win last night against the Saints, but for most of that game, up until 3 minutes left in the game, they got outplayed, and they got outplayed by quite a bit by the Saints, a struggling Saints team in Tampa. So what it came down to in the ridiculous final, 3 minutes was 2 things, 50-50 here. Tom Brady doing Tom Brady things pretty much by himself, and some other guys made some plays, but it's Tom Brady orchestrating everything, and the Saints just playing really bad football. So that was kind of the 2 things. So the Bucks, throughout this game, I was like, God, the Bucks are bad, but with 3 minutes, that's all it took for them to win. But again, still not showing me the greatest of football here. So staying put at 17. Browns up 4 spots to 16. They had a rusty game offensively, Deshaun Watson, rusty game, but they're still able to find other ways to win in a game like this where things aren't going their way. They win with defense, special teams. Offense started to move the ball a little bit more maybe towards the end, knocking that rust off. But, they beat the Bucks last week, which was big. So I like that more things are coming together here. Now, they need the offense to get going. They need see a little bit more from Deshaun Watson with all they traded for him. Obviously, it makes sense he's a little rusty, but the Browns are maybe a little bit more of a threat than we once thought. People thought maybe, and then now they're going to play the Bengals this week, so that'll be a big game, obviously. So they're the number 16. Lions are playing really good football right now. They've been winning. The only loss in there was the Bills, and that's a good team. They showed some good play against. They showed me some good football in that game as well, and they dominated the Jaguars this past week, who were fresh off beating the Ravens in a season momentum changer maybe. But the Lions played very well on both sides of the ball, explosive on both sides of the ball in that game. So very much impressed. They're up 4 spots, 15. Big game against the Vikings for them this week. Cannot wait. Seahawks stay put at 14. It took a final drive to beat the Rams without half their team, so that's really not great, I guess. They showed some good things. Metcalf and Lockett had themselves a game there. I guess they made the plays and they needed to, but I haven't really been thrilled with the Seahawks recently. They're going to stay put at 14. Overall, still a better season than expected. Jets down 1 spot, had some chances against the Vikings, couldn't really pull it off. They started pretty poorly in that game, so that's ultimately what did them in, or not being able to execute in the end. But good defense in the second half. They moved the ball. They just couldn't find the end zone, really. But they're down 1 spot to 13. Still, another one of those seasons that's better than expected. Giants tied, and they actually moved up 4 spots. I didn't think I would see that. Then, my power rankings doing that. But the multiple reasons here. The Giants, I think they looked pretty decent out there against the Commanders, a red-hot Commanders team, which we thought most of the world thought the Commanders would handle them. They would win that game. I think the Giants actually outplayed them for most of the game. They dug themselves a hole very, very early, very quickly in the game. And then they got back in it. So other than that, for a majority of the game, they actually outplayed the Commanders, even though they tied. I thought Daniel Jones played pretty decent, pretty well against a good defense. Other teams, the Jets lost. Other teams, not enough there for me for the move the Seahawks or the Bucks up. So the Giants move up 4 spots actually while tying. So that a rare situation there. Commanders stay put at 11. It's one you got to win. But at least you didn't lose, I suppose. Titans on a 2-game losing streak. They're struggling against the good teams of the NFL. They're beating the weaker teams. So that was a tough one against the Eagles. One I thought they, because of matchup reasons, they could have had a shot in, and they disappointed in that one. So as soon as the run game's taken away, they don't have much, and they can stop the run, but as soon as teams start throwing, they don't have much. So It's pretty tough how they're kind of one-dimensional on both sides of the ball. But, still view them as a pretty good regular season team here. They're down one spot to number 10. See if they can turn things around. They play the Jags this week. Ravens up one spot. Just kind of flipped them, the Titans. That was the situation there. It wasn't the prettiest one against the Broncos. I guess they played good defense, but you should against the Broncos offense. And they clutched up and found a way to win. I guess their quarterback went down, so you just got to find a way to win a game. So Ravens up one spot to number 9. See if they can stay consistent finally. We'll see what happens without Lamar for this week. On to the top 8. The Dolphins are down 3 spots to number 8. Disappointing outing against a good team, the 49ers, but kind of refused to run the ball. Tua struggled a little bit in that game, and defense got to go against the last pick in the draft, and they weren't awful, but they didn't really get the job done either. So, when you're up with the big boys here in the top 8, a loss like that would move you down a little bit here. So down 3 spots, still been a good season for the Dolphins. Bengals up 1 spot to number 7. That's where it's tough because the Bengals are starting to look like the last year Bengals at this time, looking like that Bengals team that can make a run. They look very good right now. They're fresh off beating the Titans and the Chiefs. The team you want to move up more for doing something like that, but all these teams just keep winning for the most part. So it's tough to move up at all in this range here. So the Bengals, very much impressed with them. This is a big game against the Browns this week. Big game against the Browns. I said that last time too. Prove that you can beat a team with a good pass rush against a zone. It's a zone defense. Things that you're not comfortable with, and they went out there and got their ass beat. Now they're playing much better football. Deshaun Watson back for the Browns. Go out there and prove something. This game's bigger than the Chiefs game, really, in my opinion. It's bigger than the Chiefs game. So Bengals-Browns, massive game this week. A lot to prove here, but very much impressed with the Bengals. Bills, the same thing. They're starting to play a little sloppy football recently. I guess why they're not at the top of this power rankings. They kind of been sitting around this range, but they started picking up, started winning some games again. And they go out there and play the Patriots in New England in prime time, and they handle them just fine. So impressive one for the Bills there, despite missing some key players. So they're up 1 spot to 6. The 49ers also up 1 spot. Jimmy Garoppolo goes down. Doesn't matter. Purdy takes care of business. That offense takes care of business, but the defense really takes care of business there. A dominant outing against a high-powered offense, so very much impressed with the 49ers. So all these teams, Niners, Bills, Bengals, playing like elite teams right now. 1 spot up doesn't really show how well they've been playing. There's just no one really to move down besides the Dolphins in this scenario. I mean, the Chiefs did move down. We'll talk about the Chiefs. Vikings stay put at 4. Love the way they started this game. If they would have finished that out and dominated the Jets, who've been a pretty good team this year, it would have been pretty difficult to not move them up. But, they were a little sloppy in the second half. Let the Jets kind of come back there. The Vikings still know how. There's a lot of teams that don't know how to close out games is what's costing them the season. The Vikings know how to close out games. And again, I keep saying it, they score when they absolutely have to score as well. So, but they'll stay put at 4. Chiefs with a tough loss against the Bengals, so they did move down a couple spots here still. Thought about moving down more. I still feel like for majority of this year, they felt like the best team in football, who actually is the best team in football right now. I got them at 1, but they've kind of felt like what they showed us the best team in football. But a tough one against the Bengals. The Kelsey fumble was pretty huge, something that normally doesn't happen there, and that really made a major swing in the game. They do need to get those stops on defense towards the end when they have a good opportunity. So, Mahomes only threw the ball at 20-something times, 27 times, in a game where they're going all out. The guy's going to throw the ball 40 times in a game like that. So I don't want to put too much stock in this one, but it is a week-by-week power ranking, so it's based on what's happening. So they blew that one a little bit, and they moved down 2 spots off the top spot. Cowboys are playing some really good football right now. Crazy seeing them at number 2, even though we know they're a good team always. But, they're showing they can win in different ways. They can win with the pass game. The run game's been excellent. They can win with pass rush, secondary, just taking the ball away in different ways. So the Cowboys showing some really good things, and they're up 1 spot to number 2. The NFC East is controlling these power rankings. The Eagles are back at number 1. They play a game against a solid team, the Tennessee Titans, where there's some matchup problems. Like, hey, we're better than the Titans, but there's some matchup things that say this might be tough, and they go out there and find multiple different ways to win, kind of go outside the box a little bit and dominate a pretty decent team in the Tennessee Titans there. So the Eagles definitely deserving of being number one here. So like I said, the NFC East dominating in the rankings here, not only 1 and 2, that's the main part, 1 and 2, but they got 11 and 12 as well. Two teams that just tied each other this week. So that's pretty impressive of where the NFC East is got to here. So we talked about throughout this video, there's some big-time games coming up this week that we're really excited for. Playoff implications. It's that time of the year, battling for divisions, battling for playoff spots, battling for that identity. You know, is this team for real? We're going to learn a lot of that, I think, this week. So can't wait. But that's going to wrap up the power rankings. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. We're always talking with you on our Twitters. A link pinned in the comments for that and other things there you're looking for. But yeah, that's going to do it. Please like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.